Alright. Okay. This video is pretty much just gonna be a long-ish, in-depth video of my art process, pretty much. Um, Specifically for Metalheart art, like that kind of style. Y2K, Metalheart, all that stuff. Um, I think, or well, yeah, that's the one thing I wish I had when I started out making this kind of art. It was a lot of tutorials that I was missing. I tried out a lot of different things, C4D, um, Blender, whatever other random program I downloaded that probably almost gave me a virus, stuff like that. So I'm going to be showing two different styles. First one will be my main style, the one it's more maximalist and it uses sort of wireframe and like indent lines, stuff like that. And then it's like super, there's a lot going on in it. It's complicated. There's a lot going on in them. And then I will show the more simplistic one, the one that is more, I guess, I don't want to say mainstream, but just like more popular. You see that one more often. So the very base of what you're going to be doing, regardless of whichever style that you're doing, is going to be making the form, like making the Blender Cinema 4D form, whatever. So the way I usually go about this is with absolutely no like real intention or direction at all. I know whatever I want to make, I probably am not gonna like make it perfectly, so it really just helps for me to take this part and kind of just wing it on this part and then figure out where I'm gonna go like after. So first things first, like I just did, subdivide the cube and then go into the sculpt tab and then use the grab modifier and make sure you hit this as well. I don't know what the message says, I never read it, it doesn't matter. So what you want to do is you kind of just want to drag randomly, like as randomly as possible. I turned the strength up to 0.8. Probably shouldn't do that. That's like a lot. that's a lot. A bit more than I probably should be doing, but it doesn't matter. So, and then what you want to do is you really want to fill up the whole cube. Like you want to use the whole cube in this whole thing. I started out with 35 as the size of my brush, which is not very good. That's a bit too big. So I end up not having as many spikes or anything as I want, and because of that, I'm going to hit tab, subdivide it again, go back to sculpt mode, hit tab again, and then I'm just gonna add some more. That's the best option, rather than starting over. I'm just gonna add some more lines, and so this part really, for me personally, it's very difficult for me to have a concrete direction or idea of where I want to go. I can have a general sense of what I want my form to look like, and I can work towards that direction, but in this stage of making it, I really can't control what happens. I'm kind of just putting stuff randomly, like there's really no structure that I have to this, and I'm sure that's not really how other people do it, but that's pretty much how I go about it. So yeah. And so next part is I use Simple Deform, my favorite modifier ever. Legit, just go crazy with it. Do the most random things. I tend to use Twist the most. Twist is my favorite part of it. I'd like to duplicate it as well. Make a second one. Remove the modifiers so I can also change it around. Combine them if needed. What you want to make sure you do is you want to apply them, because if you end up merging these two with the modifiers not applied, then it will like apply the modifiers to the merged object and it won't look like it won't look right, whatever, unless you want it to look like that. You can mess around, like I said, it's just messing around, goofing off with all this kind of stuff, doing the craziest stuff you can think of. I mean, it's abstract art anyway, kind of just take it wherever you want to go. So I think I like this one a bit more than this one, but something else I like to do is add a subdivision surface as well. It helps me figure out really where I'm going with everything. So I think these would be good separately, but just as a test, I'm going to duplicate both of them. That was not the right. duplicate both of them, move them both over here. I'm gonna get rid of both of these, and then I'm going to merge them. Make sure I apply these first. Find a good spot that kind of makes them look good. Maybe shrink this one, put it in there. I don't want it to look like the exact same, so I'm kind of just gonna do this, kind of move it outwards a bit more, maybe stretch this one and bring it down a bit on this axis so I can make it kind of longer, move it back a bit more, something like this. I like that. Yeah. Take this, deform again as per usual, twist it a bit, maybe bend it a bit in the same direction. I don't really want to go with like twist. That is the opposite direction, but I do not care because this looks pretty cool so far. So I have this subdivision surface. Not the best idea. Actually, you know what? It doesn't matter. If your laptop sucks, I would not recommend abusing subdivision surface, even if it does smooth out and like takes a lot of rough edges on your stuff. If you abuse it too much, your project will probably crash and you might hit a little roadblock and not be able to render, because every time you start rendering, it will crash. I've had it happen. It's sad. So I always use cycles rendering. It gives me the most freedom, except for certain things. I use Eevee rendering if I use like grease pencil, stuff like that. And then I normally go for around 150 samples to make sure I just have the best quality possible. Make sure you have denoise on as well. And so the one defining feature, I think, I'm going to make a backup as well, but anyway, the one defining feature, I think, of my style that I like to use is the wireframe modifier. So basically, Jesus, you can see, it's kind of a little crazy, but the wireframe modifier just takes every subdivision that you have, every edge, and then it turns it into a wire, pretty much. And so you have like all of these and stuff, and like it's good to turn the thickness down. Also good to turn off even. That will fix the crazy problem that I just had just now. And so this form is not what I would consider to be the best for that style. Something that I had a lot in that style was more simpler forms, and I would use the fact that there's just so many wires and so many different directions to create the complexity that I'm looking for. But I'm going to let it go on this one because it looks cool. So I'm just going to figure out a way to make it work with it. What I like to do with the camera is I like to turn the focal length down, which kind of gives you that really far in zoom effect. Something I like to do. And when it comes to this kind of art, I'm not really too obsessed with how I modify the camera. So I use the camera to view, which means your regular viewport will be able to control the camera whenever you hit the camera button. But make sure you turn it off once you're done. Otherwise, you might end up messing it up, and you cannot hit Control Z or like undo if you move anything in that mode, which is something I cannot stand. But it's good to test things out with how you want these to look or how the thickness would go. I think that's good thickness. I don't want it to be too much. And so now you are pretty much ready to start the shading and stuff. And so really, I'd say with this kind of style of art, you really don't making these forms is not something that you want to like spend all your time on. Like I've spent like 40 minutes making a really good form before, or like in something that I really like, which is totally fine. Like if you really feel like you have some direction that you're going into and you want to like keep messing around, perfectly fine. It's just that I tend to put in the most work when it comes to the final stages of this kind of stuff. I'm gonna remove this material. Okay, there we go. Let me go into edit mode, and I normally make the background white. It's just the easiest thing I can do to get like the full color of everything. And so it's good to think about a color scheme before anything else. I'd say for a color scheme, I don't really want to use plain black, but I do think I could make it work. So I'm gonna try it out. I'm gonna try plain black. I'm gonna try and do a grayscale one for this one, which is not something I normally do. I'm gonna rub this down a bit more actually. Might just leave it off entirely. Up a bit more. There we go. Alright, I'm gonna render this. Yeah, I like that. I do like to get multiple views in though. I'll render different views of this so I can make sure I have lots of options and I don't have to like reopen it later. Okay, so let's see. I'm gonna duplicate the camera. Make sure you click this as well. Click like the little camera icon next to it. That lets Blender know that you are focusing on that camera and that is the one that you will be modifying. So I like this whole form. I think this looks sick. So I'm just gonna render the entire thing. Like I like it, and it's kind of like holographic, stuff like that. Yeah, I think this looks sick. I can use this for something else later. Like that's the one part I love about doing this. I can really do so much with just what I end up making randomly off a whim. I can use them later, like, you know, I can sell them too, you know, like money, capitalism, stuff like that. Anyway, did I save the other one? Oops, I don't think I did. Did I? I did not. Okay, strange. Maybe I'm just dumb. Maybe I didn't render it. No, I did. So, I'm not really a fan of the angle that I just went for, so I'm gonna look for a separate one. Most importantly, remember to disable this because it will like disable itself whenever you switch tabs, but it will still be enabled in that tab, so you might find yourself moving back to that tab, and then yeah, you already know. So, I think curves are something that I like a lot. I've made a lot of art where I focus on like a lower perspective of a curved form. Yeah, something like right here, but then, yeah, and you can also rotate, like, I'm gonna rotate this actually, I think, and try and get like a nice vantage point down at the bottom. And I always want to be following a specific aspect of it. So like, I think starting down from the bottom here is the best option. I'm going to rotate it downwards, and obviously if whatever you're doing, you can simple deform it again. Like, you got all this freedom that you can mess around with. I think tapering it would be the best option. If I make the bottom thicker, then I can have more freedom when I look at it from a full perspective. So I'm gonna move this down a bit more. Still upside down. Yes, I am. My camera is still upside down, but it doesn't matter. Not for this, at least. So let's see. It's kind of hard for me to follow anything. If there's like something going down the middle, that would be pretty cool. But as it stands, I can't really follow much. In these kind of situations, I kind of just let it go. Just kind of let it flow. I would like to have something big that sticks like in the middle, but if I can't, then I normally leave it. So let's see. This is pretty good, but I'm just not seeing enough of it, is the problem. That is the only issue that I have. I'm gonna pull out of it a bit, but then like pull in right here. Get another angle. Or I can try the left side, actually. Yeah, I'm kind of liking the left side. And what you want to worry is that what you want to like be careful of is right now I'm zoomed out. I'm seeing the full thing, and this is a mistake that I make a lot, but really the only thing that's going to get rendered is what's in this box. So this is covering like almost half of it, which is a problem, so I can't really stick to that. So let's see. Coming up with like a short And honestly, I think I'm gonna just change the focal length again. Get more of it in there to make it look like bigger. One thing I love is scale. Scale is like one of my favorite, um, whatever you call it, to apply in my art. Something I tried a lot from the beginning of when I started making art a lot. But the main problem that I have is that I wasn't realizing that perspective is what mattered rather than, oh, I'm just going to change the size of this object in Blender. So I think move the camera to the left a bit. Yeah, keep that in there, frame. But then I'm still not a fan. I feel like I'm not getting enough of this inside of it. Go up a bit. I think I like this. I am thinking, what if I invert it though? It's good to always think about what the final product will look like while you're making it. Whoops, I made a mistake. I forgot to make the background transparent. You just go here, film, transparent. There we go. Experimenting with a different color might be nice as well. I think I'll try that too. Whoops. Put that there. Okay, so in terms of color, just use regular color ramp. I like gradient maps as well, or gradient textures. And then you stick that into this, and then color. There you go. Now you have some cool colors. But, so yeah, I want to fade to the top, but I think I'll fade with white instead. And then this color. I know I said I would make it grayscale before, but I do tend to enjoy red. Red and white, some of my favorite colors, honestly. I don't tend to use many of these colors, so it could be good to try it out. Also be good for you to just kind of mess around with more of this. Add in another one. Oops. Duplicate this color again. Add another one. Oh, no. This one. And you can always change the hue in like Photoshop or whatever else you're using. So there's that too. I'm gonna make it 200 because I felt like the denoising wasn't good enough. And I'm also going to apply this special denoising setup that I forgot where it came from, but it's for it's for Dead by Daylight, I think. Like Dead by Daylight mod letters or something. I don't know. But it works. So perfect. On to the next. Oh, okay. Crazy lag. There we go. I'm lagging like crazy right now. What the hell? Did it just stick the background on it? What? Isn't it supposed to be transparent? Yeah, literally. Oh. Whoops. Forgot about that. The denoising setup ruins the background if it's transparent, I think. Kind of strange, because I assume if you model characters, you would need it to be transparent. I am lagging like crazy. Okay. Save this. Alright. Time to get on to the next part. Oops. Show. Alright, actually, that is not the next part. I just messed up. The next part is actually J Wildfire. Normally, I have like a ton of J Wildfire renders saved. Like, really, I do this, or well, I've done this so many times that I've just like, sometimes I've just like sat down, made a crap ton of J Wildfire fractals and saved them so I can use them later. So I really don't need to render anymore. But it's always good to have something new, so like, you know, get your mind moving, get some more ideas. Let's see. I like to do 2 colors and then, I'll just go with all. Alright, let's do a random batch. Raise is not, or well, me personally, I always use raise. Make it full size. Me personally, I always use raise. I'm not sure if other people use. I did watch the Integra tutorial once, and I know he said to use Bubbles 3D. It's probably, you know, he's obviously probably more reliable because it's Integra. Integra is an amazing artist, but I like to use raise, especially for this style. I think just the complexity that some of them can have, even if it takes a couple tries, is what I like about it. Oh my god, it took a lot of tries actually. The ones I don't want are these bubble ones. Like, it's the only ones I don't want. Ooh. Stuff like this, I love these. Like, the cube ones, those are so nice, but they never seem to render how I want them. Oh, and just FYI, J Wildfire is completely free. You can just get it and download it. And so these ones are like the ones that I normally use. Like, these are my favorite ones. Yeah, these kinds. But I will not be using these ones this time. The ones that I'm looking for are ones where there's kind of like a natural motion blur on the outside. Ones like these ones. So I kind of treat, when I'm making this style, I have an outside fractal and then an inside fractal. So I'm gonna go ahead and render this one. Damn. GPU rendering is nice, but like sometimes it doesn't work, and then when that happens, this is gonna take like 30 minutes to render. So I'm just gonna go ahead and use one of the other ones I have. I'm still gonna render this one anyway because I'm like, ooh, this one is nice. Ooh, this is nice. This is some nice stuff right here. Ooh, okay. I guess I'm waiting. All right, while the loading bar just disappeared. I hope it doesn't crash because I love this one I'm looking at right now. But anyway, I'm gonna open up a new file, drag in Drag this in. 1, 2, 3. Probably won't use all of them. Definitely won't use all of them. Mostly just going for these two. These are completely the same anyway. I think I'm gonna stay. I think I'm gonna stay with the black. I think I like how that looks. So from here, I really can't do anything until the fractal renders. So I'm just gonna. Oh no! Don't tell me. Oh, it didn't crash. Okay, thank God. I forgot that it opens in Java, not JWildfire. Let's go, finally. I don't even care about the little thing in the middle. It's probably not going to be there anyway. All right. Now we can start the real stuff. So take all 4 of these because I rendered them recently. Okay, I'm not using that one. Using that one, I'm using that one as well. So I'm going to get rid of outside and poison. So, how to get started with this part? This part, I think, easiest part? Yeah, definitely the easiest part. So, I mess around with blending modes. That's literally it. This is going to be black and white, I believe. I think that's the best route. I don't make black and white art normally. I love my colors. Love myself some colors. But for this one, I'm really feeling the black and white idea. So I'm gonna leave it for this one. I'll get some of this. Oh, don't merge. Okay, so now blend modes. Like now that they're the same color, you can really see how this is gonna look when you blend them together. Oof, that looks sick. It won't fit the style, but ooh, that looks sick. See, there's a lot of stuff that you find while you're doing this. That looks cool too. I love that. So I think you want something that really incorporates both of them, like not screen, lighten. Perfect. I can really tell that both of them got into it this way. And this ring is really what I wanted on the outside. I love this ring. I don't know why, but all right, I'm gonna take it right there. And then so for the next part, this next part is kind of particular to how I do things, I think. There we go. I'm just gonna make a color fill, rasterize it. Okay. Disable layer mask. Oh, okay, can you just go away? All right. And so here, I just take a regular brush, make it huge, and I'll start erasing random spots. Right here, maybe. And so the erasing here lays out the foundation for how I'm going to continue for the rest of the piece. Like the places that are not erased, things that may be stuff like that. That'll tell me erase the form here, make the opacity go down here, stuff like that. I use this as my guide. And so the opacity stays down, but then as I go in, I'm going to increase it. I'm going to find some spots to increase it at, really bring those parts out. Make sure the center is really where I want to keep the most focus on. So center will always have maximum opacity. It'll always be erased the most in the center. Some spots on the outside can be too. It really just depends on how you want to go with this piece. And so I think I've created a good blend of different things. And so now you can mess around with blending modes on this as well. You don't need to leave it as how I had it before. You can even use this noise right here. I like the way that looks, but it won't fit the smooth feeling I'm going for. And so this one seems nice because it kind of lets the fractals leak through, but it really keeps the darkness in the places that it needs to stay. So I'm going to group these as well. I'm going to stick in the background, and I'm not going to touch them again. So what am I going to do with this? Now that I have everything, all the main stuff done, I can really get into the meat of what I'm going to be doing here. So I'm going to just find some spots to erase. I want to see how, first I want to figure out the look that I'm going for. So spots up here, I'm going to fade out more. I want to keep the front looking good, because the front is the focal point, obviously. That's the main part that I'm looking. And honestly, it may be better if I just somehow found a way to keep these, remove the background, and make them two separate layers so I can keep this part going. But I'll leave it as is. So let me rasterize this so I can start erasing. And I think right here is a good spot to start fading it in. Right here, get rid of it. Up top right here, really blend that in. Keep it all the way in the middle though, of course. On the bottom though, right here, I really think I would like a blended feel. Right here, I don't really need the full thing. Keep it blended in. Right here, there could be better. Up here. Down here. Alright, now I pretty much cut out everything that I do not need. Cut out most of the easy stuff. And so, next, I'm going to start adding fog. Fog is like super to me when it comes to this style. I'm going to be using a brush that I have from this super amazing free kit from the Evident Concept Art Brush Pack. It's literally amazing. It has like everything you need in it. It even has birds and like buildings in it, in like forest, trees, anything. Perfect for concept art, but it's also perfect for this. So I'm gonna start adding in fog. The opacity is a bit too high. It doesn't matter. Screw that. Who cares? That's not what I meant to click. But here, make it a little bit bigger. Put fog in anywhere. Just really get it. Don't put too much in one spot. That's a mistake you don't want to make. But really get it in there. And I say that, and I put too much in like every spot. Okay. And if you want, and you don't have to do this. Like you can legit can legit add like actual, like you can go onto Google and hit smoke overlay Photoshop. Me personally, feels like I'm cheating if I do this. I'll do it for the tutorial, but it's not something that I like to do. But it doesn't matter. Nothing is cheating. Art is art. As long as you're not an AI artist, you're fine. Going down from the bottom, I like what I see when it comes to that. I think I have a good idea for how to incorporate this. So I'm going to AVIF. The hell kind of file extension is that? AVIF. I mean, you can't even import it into Photoshop. That's a first. I've never seen a file I can't put into Photoshop. Okay, I'm lacking. Holy crap. That was something. Alright, I need you to import yourself in. Don't know why the opacity was down. Kinda sus, but whatever. You don't really need to worry about the quality. Expand this stupid photo as much as you want. Let it go. Just do whatever you want. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually lower it a bit. Obviously the only thing you want to happen, you don't even need that either. Don't focus on that. Just let it go. You'll figure out a way to, you can figure out a way to like mess with it later. So I'm gonna find one that will isolate. There we go. Perfect. Lighter color normally does the job. I'm gonna tilt it a lot. Tilt it like this. Whoops. I don't know what I just did. Okay. Alright. So something I want a lot of fog on the bottom here. And I'm gonna lower the opacity down. And so I'm going to take yet another fog overlay, and then I'm going to try and use it to fill in the middle areas. You don't need to fill in like everything. You don't want to go too overboard. I gotta cut 2 sections out the photo. What? Hey, yo. This is not the one I was looking for. Mother, they done tricked me. Whatever. We can chill. We chill. I'm not gonna bug out over this. Didn't work out the way I wanted it to, but I'm chilling. So let me just. So now that I have it on top, yeah, looks pretty good. Of course, it could be better, but it looks pretty good. So whatever. So now I do have an idea. I like to make backups though, if I have a little idea, because too many mistakes where I've deleted the wrong things or just done something so bad that I'm like I have to start over. I can't let this happen. And then just you can't start over. Not fun times. This is proving to be quite difficult. Therefore, I give up. Okay. So, last thing that I do normally when I make, actually not the last thing. Last thing that I do for the base of this style is bloom. Normally, I almost always add bloom to the background and to the full. Like I do bloom for the full thing, but mainly I like to add it to the form first. So the way you would do that in Photoshop, because sadly there is no glow or bloom effect. Maybe this one. This way arguably is a bit better though. So go put up an exposure modifier and then a brightness and a contrast modifier. Increase the brightness and contrast to like max. Turn up exposure as well to like max. Oh, whoops. I had one on top of it. Don't have one on top of it. Not a smart idea. Turn the brightness down. You can leave it at white too if you want to, but that's not what I'm doing. I'm just here to lighten it a shit ton. So now that you have a overly bright version of your form, go ahead and blur it. Not too much, not that much at all. Maybe like 2.5, 2.8, I don't know. And then use, okay, I mean stuff like that looks sick. Whoops, forgot to enable the one under it. So use overlay, I think, is the best option. Overlay is normally what I go for. Gives you the best look overall, I think. And so you want to do the same thing to the background. I'm going to make a copy of it. I'm going to merge the whole group so I don't have to do anything like separately and mess around. So brightness, contrast, turn the brightness up with the background. That's enough, because I'm really only trying to, I'm really looking to add a glow to only the areas that are bright, not the darkened areas. And so, go up here, blur it. And honestly, I like to do stuff like, I like to do a motion blur for this one. Motion blur is cool. I think radial blur, zoom, is also pretty cool. It's always a nice way to get a nice... I hate that texture. It always just pisses me off looking at it. And honestly, you could leave it like this if you want. I wouldn't do that though. I wouldn't. You can do whatever you want. Looks like I went a bit too much on that zoom. So instead, I'm just gonna blur it normally. You don't always have to do that. Okay, clearly I messed up. So I'm just gonna go here, add an exposure modifier, and I'm just gonna expose the shit out of it. You feel me? Alright. Put this down a bit. Bring this up. Blur. Gaussian blur. Why would I do that a second time? I just did it. Did I? Did I really? I don't remember. I seriously can't remember. Screen does work as well. Just lower it. Lower the opacity. Never mind. Oh, I'm not on color dodge, not screen. And in this scenario, it looks like it just doesn't work at all. Which is fine. Totally fine. That happens a lot. But I like the way this looks. I think I like the way this turned out. Quite the beautiful piece right here. I mean, like, we zoom in. Ooh, clean. Beautiful. Amazing. Anyway, I'm going to group every single thing that I just did. Whoops. And that will be layer 1. Now, the next part of my art, normally in these styles, is the HUD aspect, or the overlay stuff. That's something that you see a lot in regular Metalheart designs. Like, if I were to pull up some on, let's say Pinterest. Metalheart. Just like not be like this right now. There we go. Let's pull some up. These are cyber sigilism designs, not Metalheart. Alright, here we go. This is an extremely complicated version. Like, this is not something I would make a tutorial on, but like some mad complicated stuff here. But you can see in the background down here, they got a HUD, they have overlays, they got like that tech look to it. And if I can find another one, here's one. Look at that, tech overlays, stuff like that. And really looking into it, that complicated aspect is something that you can add in a lot. Like if I go into my old art, if I can find it. Oh, it was right here. I just saw it. Stuff like this. I like to get complex with how I do things. But when it comes to the HUD, I am so lazy. Like, because it takes so long for me to do this whole process that I get to the HUD and I'm like, I just want to be done. And then you see I get lazy and I'm just sticking lines everywhere. Maybe add a little bevel there. Oh my god, so special. And then like a little square. Don't be like me. Don't be lazy. It's good to be more complex. This one, I like what I did with the background. I managed to add more of that complexity. I have something in the front and then something in the back as well. These are two separate objects. Same with this one. I love how this one turned out. This one as well. You can see there's more, but the HUD, just literally nothing. What? 2 lines, couple of dots. No way. Um, if I look for one where I actually did not make a lazy HUD, um, it was one I did recently. Right here. There we go. Yeah, this one is probably not. I, by my personal standards, it's not a lazy HUD. The way I really went about this is I have 4 sets of totally fake, not real code at all, um, and then right here I added a lot more small details. Like I spent a lot of time on this HUD compared to the other ones. There's more lines of completely fake code that you can't even read because it's so small, but I really like the look and aesthetic that putting the small text on there in various spots gave you. Like I have it again here, but longer. There's more here. And I do like to give I make all of my HUD white. Everything is white. No extra colors. And then I give it the overlay modifier, which makes it sort of look like the opacity is low, but it's not just low. Like it just still pops in certain areas. And so there's a lot more different, better shapes in it. Like this area right here, I really like what I did with this one. I took a bunch of circles and I took 4 circles. Actually, I'll just show. Basically, I took 4 circles, put them get the same one. Took 4 circles, did this, and then that center area right there, you can just easily make sure you merge them first, and then rasterize them. Select that middle area, and then Alt backspace to fill it in, and then Control X to cut it, Control Shift V to paste it in the same spot, and then boom, you have yourself a cool star. And then if I duplicate this as well, then you can look over to the side, cut this part off. Stop it. Cut this part off, and then cut this part off as well, and there you go. You have that corner piece that I made right here. And getting really deep into these designs, figuring out in the HUD, I had more of an eccentric text font that I did than normally. I normally would never use something that detailed because I really like the simplistic look that I have, so more people can focus on the back. I want people to focus on this huge golden form, not really the cool HUD in the front. But I feel like it's also a big part of it is just me being lazy. I know I could do better with if I put in more effort. And so, adding to what I was doing a second ago, I can add more. There's more detail to be added to this, because if you look at it, I have this area filled up. This area is nice because it's like it's blacked out, it's dark. You have the rings coming through right here, yeah, down here, a little bit of fog on the bottom, but this whole top left area is just empty. So unless I really go in with the HUD on the top left area, there's still more for me to add. That's really how my thought process would go. I want to use everything that I can. I want to maximize the amount that I'm putting into this. So, let me unlock this as well. Put this on top. There's the wrong layer. I'm looking for the full one. I think I deleted it. The full sideways one. Here we go. Alright, here we go. Honestly, this is not very usable at the moment, so I'm not going to use it. But what you want to do normally is you just want to look for other angles. Preferably something that can look like it's extending out from here, coming up, or like another loop, another 2 or 3 loops coming out. Um, like I have not on this one. Yeah, kind of on this one, the whole thing fills up. I'm not a huge fan of this one, but there are parts that did well on it that I like. It's a bit too much. The center, it doesn't blend well in the center, but it does taper off well on the sides. And then, what was I saying? Oh yeah, spider webs out throughout the whole thing, so it really fills up the whole piece, and you can tell it's just full. And this one, I did not like what I did with this one because it just looks like so basic sideways. I mirrored one of the forms that I used before, which was kind of a bad decision. I didn't give it any angle or any personality. So, but the bubbles look kind of nice. But like I had in this one, there's more coming out. There's extra lines coming out from here, more spreading out from here, and then especially on the bottom right here, you can still see more coming out. So the fog is not just carrying you from the bottom. So the fog, you don't want to leave the fog in the borders. That's just, I'd say a number one. No, unless you're making a shape that like has a perspective where you're meant to be looking as if you're from this bottom spot, not from this top spot where you're like the camera would be aiming up here downwards. So, but that was more just because I did well on the form. You can see on the other sides, there's so much stuff to do. It fills up the whole thing, unlike the other one I had. And so on this one as well, the perspective is mainly focusing from right here. This is where I guess you would imagine yourself looking from. And then you're going down here, there's more lines coming up here, there's more up here, nothing, there's even like this small spot down here. Nothing is left wasted. Even on the sides right here, the whole, you can still see more of it. That's why I like how I did that one. And on this one, fills up the whole place. And I felt like just having this middle part right here was not good enough. So I added a second form that covered this right area right here. So it's always good to really look for that complexity that you can add to it when it comes to working with a more complex Metalheart style. Even though there are less complex ones. And building on top of what I was doing before, you don't have to use wireframe. Like wireframe is just my style. That's not something you need to force yourself to use or anything. I just do it for fun. But there are so many different ways you can be complex in your ways of making Metalheart. You can use more like liquid designs, like the one I was just looking at, like some of these, like more liquid, so it fills up everything. Or you can just make some crazy sick, whatever this is. I mean, that's not even really Metalheart, but like it's still good. Or you can make more geometric shapes. Go for like a sci-fi look. It's significantly harder in my opinion, but it's still amazing. Regardless, end product is really what you want to look for there. And you're willing to put in the work. I think you can really work towards it. And there's things like this, which tend to be more simplistic. I mean, you come through the middle and it's complicated, but on the outside here, you have a couple of HUD aspects, and then the form kind of ends right here, but it's really not doing too much, but it's still so good, and the piece still feels complete. Like I would not add anything else to the piece. So really, you don't want to focus too much on, should I follow this artist and do complexity like them, or should I leave this more simple, because it'll probably look good regardless. Like you don't even need to have a full form. Like this one is a lot smaller and it pulls out, but this piece is still complete. It still looks amazing. Something like this would be more something like this is super complicated, but still, I mean, still good. So really, where you really want to just trust yourself. So like really just trust the flow, go with it. Like I mean, even while I was doing this, I made mistakes and like I kind of just tried to move with it, run with it, because you're gonna be able to figure it out, and that'll help you evolve and find your style, even if it's like accidentally. Like as you keep going, you find yourself repeating and forming habits that may have been built off of mistakes that you made before, and then before you know it, you have a art design. And I mean, I think that's the beauty of being able to make art like this in general. So yeah, I hope this tutorial helped you. Um, and feel free to like tag me on any of my socials with art that you make. I love looking at other kinds of artists and different styles. It really helps me feel inspired as well.